Monsieur le Marquis.
I'm listening, Aegis.
I spoke with Monsieur Marat and Monsieur Laclos.
Ah, the scoundrels. Did you force them to confess? Do you know what they did with the children?
They admitted to organizing the ambush at Gros Caillou.
Cursed recreants. Cowardly corrupters of innocence. Where are they holding their prisoners? They must be rescued immediately.
They do not have Charlotte and the Dauphin.
Excuse me? They dare to claim that?
It is the truth. The ambush was a catastrophe. The king had gotten wind of your plans. Automats from Versailles slaughtered the kidnappers and seized the children. By now, the children will have been reunited with their father. There is little doubt about that.
Mon Dieu. Then it is from the clutches of that tyrant in his own palace that they must be saved. I fear that such an undertaking is doomed to failure, although there is no question of giving up.
Monsieur le Marquis, there is a most unfortunate rumor about you going round.
Oh, just one, is there?
You are accused of having delivered the troops who had gathered in the Place Dauphine over to the king.
Calumny. This is nothing less than vile slander.
Save your breath, General. The rumor is true. I can prove it. There's no point in trying to defend yourself. I know that you raised the National Guard for the sole purpose of taking command of it. There was nothing spontaneous about the uprising.
Do you have any evidence to support your accusations?
I do. I have the manifesto.
Bon sang.
Why resort to this manipulation?
You must understand. What I have done, I did for the good of the kingdom. I wanted to stop this massacre while protecting the Queen and the Dauphin. In the name of the people, Aegis. But an actual uprising of the people would have inevitably led to disaster. Only professional soldiers could organize and lead the resistance.
Who were your accomplices?
My brothers in arms, the brave men of the Régiment de Saintonge, veterans of the American War, men who at the Battle of Yorktown brought an empire to its knees. Alas, we gravely underestimated the enemy's forces. We thought we would face an infantry supported by a handful of machines, but an entire army of automats. It was unthinkable.
Some accuse you of harboring a lust for power. The circumstances were to your advantage.
These aspersions are all too familiar to me. But tell me, if I wanted the crown for myself, why did I not take it when I returned from America? When I had seasoned troops at my command, and the people sang my praises with one voice. No, that makes no sense. Though I readily admit that I do believe I am worthy of fulfilling an important role for the Queen, after her son is crowned. Lieutenant General of the Kingdom, for example. Or even, if circumstance requires, the Regent. Voila. Now you know everything. I haven't left anything out. However, this truth, if it were made public, would play right into my enemy's hands. So I ask you not to reveal anything I've just told you, and to give me the manifesto.
No, General. You'll forgive me for choosing to hold on to it.
In that case, my fate remains in your hands. Can you at least tell me where my detractor is hiding? The one who is spreading these charming rumors about me.
I cannot tell you anything, General.
Oh, no matter. I will not let this serpent continue to vilify me. I shall get redress for these aspersions in the end.
Do as you wish, General de Lafayette. Goodbye, Monsieur le Marquis. Monsieur le Marquis.
I'm listening, Aegis.
Goodbye, Monsieur le Marquis. Monsieur Necker.
Madame? Eh bien, do you come bearing good news?
Your wife. You may rest easy, monsieur. Your wife escaped the massacre. She returned home and left you this letter.
Mon Dieu. She's going to meet our daughter and son-in-law at our charity hospital.
She may already be there.
Madame, I did not dare to dream of such an outcome. My wife and daughter. Can you imagine? And I thought I had lost both of them. The three of us will be able to leave the kingdom and put these horrors behind us forever.
What about the bonds?
Oh, the bonds. Do with them as you see fit. As long as the king does not use them. As for me, I'm going to find my family at once. Thank you. From the bottom of my heart. I pray that your efforts will be successful. Adieu, madame. Adieu.
Minister Necker has given his bonds to me.
That's quite a nice little sum. Can you imagine? That's 1/5 of the kingdom's entire wealth.
Wealth that the king squanders for his personal benefit according to his whims.
Ma foi. Monsieur Necker certainly has been very generous to his adoptive country.
Generous? I have my doubts. The loan was granted at a very high rate. So high, in fact, that it would have dug the deficit into an even deeper state of abyss.
Eh bien, messieurs. To what use shall we employ this boonful fortune?
If I could spend it, I'd do everything I could to return to the people their confiscated freedom. To begin, I would get them the bread they so sorely need. It is only after the scourge of famine has been vanquished that armed patriots might then be able to rise up against despotism.
And where will you find wheat, Robespierre? Will you steal it from under the noses of the automats who have sworn to destroy the human race? As for arming the people, this is another one of your delusions. How could your ragged pack of wretches win any sort of battle that'd be unable to lift a sword?
When you insult the people, you insult me, Monsieur de Lafayette.
I am not insulting anyone, Robespierre. But I happen to know what it takes to fight, unlike you. Monsieur, I was but a lad of 15 when I took up arms, and everyone here knows my role in the liberation of America from British rule. If you allow me to dispose of these bonds, I will found an army that will annihilate the Clockwork King's diabolical machines. As soon as I have the opportunity to leave Paris, I will rally the officers and troops that are stationed in the provinces. Then, I will call for a mass uprising. I will have more than enough money to pay their wages and procure the weapons we need.
And you will have obedient troops at your beck and call, ready to repress anyone who challenges your power.
These troops will only serve the will of the people. I swear it.
Are you sure that the king has spared the rest of the kingdom, Monsieur le Marquis?
I am almost certain of it, mon père. Despite all of his resources, the king does not have enough manpower to occupy all the garrisons in the country.
Aegis, no member of this assembly can force your hand. The choice is yours. To whom will you entrust Monsieur Necker's bonds?
Maximilien de Robespierre. I have chosen to entrust this fortune to you.
Very well, madame. I promise that I will use it for one purpose only. Freedom for the people and by the people. When a monarch violates the people's most fundamental rights, insurrection is their most sacred and indispensable duty. But we must be wary of warmongers, who claim to defend our happiness.
Bon sang, am I the only one who is weary of hearing these tiresome monologues?
For they wish only to silence us, and take their own turn at playing tyrant.
Congratulations, Aegis. You've chosen a speechifier as Commander-in-Chief. I am sure the king will be delighted to hear this. He need not fear for his throne now.
Have you found my mother?
No, not yet.
Remember, rumor has it she lives in the slums of the Marais, in the shadow of the Bastille.
I found a broken cane. It says Franciscus Antonius on it. Do you know who it belongs to?
Well, I never. Yes, I know the owner. And I'm willing to bet you're looking for a certain François Antoine.
That's right.
Well, you'd need to look a little further east, mademoiselle. Across the Rhine for a start. Because this cane belongs, or belonged, to a certain Franz Anton Mesmer.
Mesmer, the prince of charlatans.
Good heavens, it's been a long time since I've heard his name.
5 years to be exact since your learned commission denounced his theories.
It wasn't long after that when he disappeared.
Can you tell me more about Mesmer?
He was a mystical healer who was once popular with the upper class. I myself attended several of his sessions.
You mentioned a commission.
The king did not look kindly on the healer's popularity within the court. This led him to appoint a commission from the Royal Academy of Sciences.
An institution to which Monsieur Bailly and I have the honor to belong. We were asked to investigate his alleged powers.
The experiments that we performed allowed us to determine that Monsieur Mesmer's activities were pure charlatanism, a conclusion that destroyed his successful career the moment it was published.
But there was something, Sylvain. A tiny flow of energy that my devices were able to measure.
My dear colleague, must I remind you again that we were never able to reproduce your observations? It was obviously a momentary failure of your equipment.
Perhaps. I'd like to be sure of it.
When and how did Monsieur Mesmer disappear?
The denunciation of his techniques was the start of a long descent into hell for Monsieur Mesmer. He was abandoned by his clients and resumed his research in virtual secrecy. I think he was hoping to perfect his so-called science and restore his reputation with the Academy.
A hope that led him to associate himself with that dastardly Cagliostro. God only knows what experiments they may have carried out. In any case, their collaboration did not last long. Monsieur Mesmer left the kingdom overnight to return to his mother country.
Why did he leave so quickly?
That is a mystery. But those who saw him that morning say it was as if he had the devil at his heels.
This is true. He left in such a hurry that he abandoned everything he owned. Furniture, belongings, and scientific equipment. And it seems that Cagliostro has inherited this treasure.
Is that so? Well, if what you say is true, that broken cane must have passed into the Count's hands.
Yes, it's likely.
This adventurer from who knows where is quite the mysterious character. And he has been very busy recently. I've been able to observe him from my apartments, making frequent visits to Rue Saint-Honoré, on the Tuileries side. I wonder what he was doing there.
What were Monsieur Mesmer's theories?
He is a proponent of a theory called animal magnetism. He claimed to be able to channel a purported universal healing fluid by passing his hands over patients and using magnets.
He also cobbled together a whole array of mad devices, each stranger than the last. Unfortunately, despite all his attempts, I don't know that he ever cured anyone.
What happened during Monsieur Mesmer's treatment sessions?
Oh, they were quite a spectacle to behold. Imagine well-born ladies afflicted with perfectly imaginary illnesses. A dimly lit room where incense has been burned to intoxicate the soul and cloud your vision. Amiable servants, half-dressed, gliding from countess to duchess to the sound of a sensual melody. And the great Mesmer, a doctor with wandering hands, presiding over the wonderful scene. Oh, you should have seen them. Those grand ladies moaning, crying, and falling into a swoon, clinging to that strange tub. Du théâtre, ma chère. Pure theater. Have you found my mother?
No, not yet.
Remember, rumor has it she lives in the slums of the Marais, in the shadow of the Bastille.
Goodbye, Monsieur le Comte.
Have you found Monsieur Marat?
Yes, you were right. He is hiding in the quarries of Montmartre.
Did he show you the way to the Bastille?
No, but he told me about the tunnels that will take me to the Temple. From there, I can fight my way to the Bastille.
The man is trustworthy, as long as he does not count you among his enemies. You should leave us, and take up his advice immediately.
Were you present when the Estates General was dissolved?
Oui, madame. I had a front row seat. We laid bare so he had the people's representative. At least we only had to contend with souls positively angelic compared.
Goodbye, Monsieur de Robespierre. Monsieur Lavoisier,
What can I do for you, Aegis?
the clues I found at the warehouse suggest that the gunpowder was moved to the Bastille.
Diable. You must find a way to get there and put an end to this threat.
Goodbye, Monsieur Lavoisier. Monsieur Bailly. I found this box with astronomical symbols on it. I believe it belongs to Vaucanson's daughter.
Athenais' secret box. I built it with my own hands. It was my gift to her on her 15th birthday.
I wasn't able to open it.
Naturellement. Athenais and I are the only ones who know how. Allow me. You must arrange the planets the way they were aligned on the day of Athenais' birth. Voila, like this.
What's this locket?
Athenais is always wearing this. It contains a portrait of her late mother. She said it was her most cherished possession in all the world. To think, the poor child never knew her own mother.
You monster! What did you do to her?
Ludia, what happened? You froze the moment you touched the locket. I thought I'd lost you.
I saw her. Athenais de Vaucanson. The Comte de Cagliostro has her.
Mon Dieu. It is just as I feared.
He bound her spirit to an automat.
Please, say no more. Athenais. It is her spirit that animates you. Is it not?
Yes. I believe so.
Seigneur, quelle abomination. It is vital that you go and find Athenais as soon as possible.
She is right in front of you. I am Athenais.
Alas, I fear that is not entirely accurate. You know nothing of Athenais, Ludia. Nothing of her past, her joys, her suffering. Nothing of her love for her father. You are but the vessel that harbors the poor child's soul.
Where can I find Athenais' body?
God only knows. Although I assume that the Comte de Cagliostro is taking pains to keep her alive, this is certainly the only way to keep her spirit alive in you. The only way to free her is to find her body.
Where can I find
God only knows. This is certainly the only way to free her.
Why was Eugène de Vaucanson imprisoned in the Bastille?
Once he discovered the king's true intentions, he refused to continue cooperating with him. He refused to use his talents to create this abominable army. But the king didn't take kindly to his resignation. Eugène did manage to get a letter to me just before he was arrested. Here, take it.
Monsieur B. Goodbye, Monsieur B. Monsieur Raymond.
Go on, Aegis.
I went to the Hotel de Massiac as agreed. What I discovered goes beyond your darkest conjectures. The club's members have no intention of merely depriving their slaves of rest. Rather, with the king's support, they plan to replace them with automat harvesters. The Count of Cagliostro is behind the plan.
Ma foi. But such a plan would certainly only improve the lot of these unfortunate people.
You are mistaken, mon père. If the planters get their way, they will have a greater need of slaves than ever. Only this time, they intend to slaughter them to power their machines.
Quelle abomination!
Par tous les saints.
4 days ago, the Paris Guard captured 100 black people. They were to be sacrificed as part of an experiment to test the effectiveness of the automat harvesters. Luckily, I was able to prevent the massacre.
Where are they now?
In a place they call the Dépôt des Noirs. I don't know where it is, but I managed to get the key. It bears the inscription, Tour du Diable.
The Devil's Tower is a prison in Vincennes, within the chateau walls.
That's 3 leagues from here. We'll only be able to free the prisoners once we're able to move freely ourselves.
At least they were spared the fate that the king and his accomplices had planned for them.
And what will you do with the 2 servants you employ, Monsieur Raymond?
I will continue to treat them well, as I always have.
However, under the laws you insist on following, they will become slaves again the moment they leave the kingdom for Saint-Domingue.
Certainly not, Monsieur de Robespierre. What kind of a man would I be if what I have heard had not opened my eyes? The planters of Massiac have been proven to be nothing but avaricious murderers. I thought I was dealing with opposition, but now I discover them to be vile enemies, from whom it would be vain to expect any compromise. From this day on, I will fight against their interests with all my strength, and will not lay down my arms until the last slave in the Empire has been freed.
Rest assured, then, that the people will fight by your side, Monsieur Raymond.
That's the spirit, my friends. Vive l'égalité!
Monsieur Raymond.
Go on, Aegis.
See you later, perhaps. Monseigneur.
What can I do for you, Aegis?
Goodbye, Monseigneur.
Allez en paix, Aegis.
Can I help you, Aegis?
What is the significance of these objects steeped in memories?
Nemes. I have reread every work that I have on them. Pages that have remained unintelligible to this day. These echoes go back to the beginning of time, to that fateful day in ancient Greece when some dark magician took it into his head to bind a soul to an inanimate object. You see, Aegis, there is nothing more diabolical, nothing more unnatural than this sorcery. The soul is the very essence of the divine. It refuses to submit to such an abomination and resists, eventually breaking. The earliest necromancers whose works have survived through the centuries all describe the same phenomenon. When a soul is fragmented, 3 shards of memory are torn from its consciousness and take shelter in 3 objects that the victim held dear. It's as if these memories wish to remain bound to the mortal who had held them until then.
I found this notebook written in Latin.
Indeed. Medieval Latin, to be precise. Oh, hold on. Bon sang. Aegis, what a find. This handwriting. I would recognize it anywhere. It's in Nicholas Flamel's own hand. Give me some time to study this, and I'll tell you what I'm able to glean from it.
Have you finished reading the notebook, mon père?
Yes, Aegis, and what I learned from it puzzles me. In this diary, Flamel tells of 3 journeys. 3 journeys into what he calls the in-between. A strange world filled with wandering souls. Tormented spirits that are unable to ascend to heaven.
This world. It's where Cagliostro's victims were trapped until I freed them.
En effet, I believe you're right. But that's not all. Flamel planned to return there a fourth time. He wrote this in the final paragraph, in his handwriting, dated 21st of March 1418. That was the day before he died, Aegis. What if his body died while his soul was traveling through limbo? What if he were trapped, a prisoner in this purgatory? Aegis, because of your unique nature, we have an incredible opportunity.
What do you mean, mon père?
If the soul that animates you has been bound to the automaton that serves as its vessel, then it can be separated from it too. And if this were the case, the soul would travel to purgatory, where Cagliostro entraps the souls of his victims.
Hold on. Are you trying to convince me to go and find Nicholas Flamel?
I'm offering you a chance to speak to the man who discovered the Philosopher's Stone. Surely you won't pass it up.
Assuming I agree to venture into purgatory, do I even have a chance of finding him there?
Certainly. According to this journal, the soul flies to the zenith of the place where it left the body of the deceased. Or that of the pilgrim, in this case. If Flamel's soul is trapped in purgatory, as we've guessed, you'll need to go to the house where he drew his dying breath.
Is it still standing?
Of course. It's on Rue de Montmorency, in the Quartier de l'Hôtel de Ville. You can get there via the cemetery of the Église Saint-Jacques.
And how do you plan to free my spirit from this automat?
We would simply need to break the bond between them. To do this, we would need to stop your machinery. For a short time, of course. We don't want to lose you, ma chère. As for the rest, it will be a question of mechanics, chemistry, or electric currents, or something or other. Therein lies the problem. This is far beyond my comprehension. But it is fascinating, isn't it? Perhaps Monsieur Bailly and Monsieur Lavoisier could shed some light on the matter.
Goodbye, mon père.
Have you learned more about the bond between your spirit and your body?
No, mon père. Who would know more?
Perhaps Monsieur Bailly and Monsieur Lavoisier could shed some light on the matter.
Goodbye, mon père. Monsieur Lavoisier.
What can I do for you, Aegis?
Do you think there is any way to interrupt my internal clockwork?
To what end?
I would like to briefly sever the bond between my spirit and this automat.
It is a very strange request, madame. For what purpose do you seek to free your soul from its shell?
According to the abbot, my spirit would then be able to visit purgatory.
Oh, that dreadful place. Why on earth would you want to go there?
I hope to find answers to some very important questions.
You must understand, madame, that your very nature is a mystery to us. We are ignorant as to the principle that imbues you with life, nor do we know how your machinery works. That is why it is impossible for us to make even the slightest alteration. It would mean taking an unacceptable risk. Of course, if we had documents that could shed light on the matter.
Antoine, the blueprints.
What blueprints, mon ami?
Ludia's. Eugène gave them to me when he was working on the modifications ordered by the king. He wanted my opinion on the potential for reducing the size of certain key parts. The documents are obsolete now, but they could tell us quite a bit about the mechanical principles that are shared by Ludia and Aegis.
Bon sang, you're right. Where are the blueprints now?
Alas, the situation is not in our favor. I kept them in the safe at the observatory, but earlier, when I went there to collect my most important documents, before setting off for the convent, I found looters making off with its contents.
Blasted scavengers. Their kind are always quick to make the most of chaos.
I chased them to the quays, but was unable to apprehend them. When they disappeared into an underground passageway under the Louvre, I decided it was best not to follow them.
You acted wisely, mon ami. The automats are everywhere, and the marauders don't stand much of a chance.
I'll try to track them down. Goodbye, Monsieur Lavoisier. Monsieur Marat.
Madame?
I'm surprised to find you here. Did you follow me?
Didn't you know? The Duke's allies are always impeccably informed. Some even say that we have eyes and ears everywhere.
What do you want from me?
To tell you the truth, I can't wait to hear what you've discovered about the matter at hand. And I was afraid you might leave me in the lurch. You can never be too cautious these days. That's why I decided it would be better for me to come to you.
You were right. Lafayette was behind this purportedly popular uprising.
Aha! I've got him at last.
But he had no intention of handing his men over to the king. His goal was to raise an army and command the troops himself.
It doesn't matter. These troops would have allowed him to crush the Patriots and set himself up as a dictator. He lied to the people. He lied to the Assemblée Nationale. His time has come. All I need is for you to give me the proof of his treason.
Here. The details about the operation are written in this manifesto.
Madame, I didn't expect so much. The end of Mortier de Lafayette. The executioner has signed his own death warrant. I will now share these revelations with the people's representatives. Long live the Assemblée Nationale.
Marat, ça par exemple. You're certainly a bold one.
Monsieur, I have come to pay my respects.
Mon pauvre ami, you must be out of your mind to come and defy those you so cruelly maligned.
Maligned, you say? This remains to be seen, Monsieur de Mirabeau. I have here a document that its author has amusingly entitled Le Manifeste Henri V. It appears that the name Louis has fallen from fashion these days.
Quiet, scoundrel, or I'll make you swallow your tongue!
Come now, you wouldn't dare, my dear Mortier. Not when we're in such fine and plentiful company. Monsieur, in these pages, you will learn of the vast plot devised by the Marquis de Lafayette and his sinister conspirators. You will discover how our national hero orchestrated the so-called popular uprising that gave rise to the National Guard. Bon sang, Monsieur le Marquis. You will also learn that he has proclaimed himself General-in-Chief in the hope of making himself king in turn, and that it is his lust for power to which the patriots who fell in Place Dauphine owe their tragic fate.
C'est incroyable.
You must believe it, cher monsieur, because to add insult to injury, this tomfool was daft enough to sign his missive.
Par tous les saints.
If what Marat says is true, this is treachery of the basest sort.
Well, Monsieur le Marquis, do you deny it?
No, I don't. The loathsome Marat speaks the truth. I wanted to create an army that would be able to rid our kingdom of our anointed executioner, just as we freed America from England's choking grasp. I only kept it secret to avoid causing more chaos. Can you understand?
You defied the people, Lafayette. This is enough to condemn you.
So be it. You won't hear from me anymore. I leave the fate of the nation in the hands of the speechifiers and demagogues. I encourage you to say your prayers, gentlemen, for our end is near. As for you, rat, go back to the cesspit from whence you came. You should never have come out.
I will gladly follow that order, General. Such is my pleasure that it will be your last.
Balsamo. So that is the name that the Comte de Cagliostro uses to conduct his business discreetly.